Welcome to Healing Medicine, formerly the Mindful Healers podcast.
This is the podcast for physicians and healthcare professionals who crave balance and purpose. If you want to rediscover your love for medicine and life, one mindful step at a time, you are in the right place. We are Dr. Jessie Mahoney
And Dr. Nichang Liang, physicians who bring decades of experience in physician health and wellness and leadership to the wellness conversation. Like so many of you, we felt the exhaustion, the disillusionment, and the weight of a career that demands so much, often at the expense of our own well-being.
In this podcast, we explore mindfulness, mindset, and real, sustainable health and well-being strategies.
Not as another task to add to your plate, but as a way to experience medicine and life differently.
Each episode dives into practical strategies, coaching tools, and real conversations to help you feel more present, fulfilled, and in control.
When we are healthy and well, we become powerful agents of change.
If you're ready to break free from exhaustion, cynicism, overwhelm, feeling ineffectual and stuck, and rediscover joy and presence, you are in the right place.
A life and a career that truly fits you await.
Reminder that nothing in this podcast is medical advice.
Welcome to our episode on healing medicine, which is the name of this podcast moving forward. It's a rebrand, an appreciation, an acknowledgement, and an ask.
Today's episode is going to be a little different. It's going to be a thank you note and a pause to share where we've been, where we're going, and why we are making a shift in our name. We want to start with an acknowledgement and an appreciation, acknowledging the milestone of 250 episodes and almost just shy of 150,000 downloads as we are recording this. So if you are one of our listeners who's been listening for a long time, we want to thank you. We've heard from many of you that you listen in your car, between patients, on walks. We both get emails from many of you telling us how an episode was helpful and it helped you move forward. And we are incredibly grateful that you choose to listen and spend your time with us in your ears. And we hope that we have made a difference in helping some of you stay in medicine and be happy and at peace. And some of you have opted to do something else and also hopefully are happy and at peace because of something that we have shared. So all of our listeners are the reason that this rebrand is even happening, because if you weren't here, we wouldn't be bothering to rebrand and we wouldn't be bothering to move forward with such purpose. And so why are we rebranding? And the rebrand is coming from a desire to increase our visibility and be found and to be visible on purpose. This podcast has become much more than either of us ever imagined, and the lives it's changed are many. And we keep hearing from people, I wish I had found this sooner. And so that's what this podcast is about. The most important thing is something that is one of my favorite books, Good Morning, I Love You by Shauna Shapiro. And the most important thing in a podcast is that people find it, because they can't hear what we have to say if they don't find it. And so we're not rebranding because we're changing anything. We are rebranding because we're growing into really who we've become already, and dropping into alignment.
And I would like to add that perhaps we've always been this too. And in reflecting back on the title of the old podcast, the Mindful Healers podcast, it was really much more descriptive of like you and I, Jessie, as the hosts. But now this new title is more about what the content is about and what it hopes to do as well. So ultimately, we really, really want to have others be able to find us much more easily, and to have you, dear listeners, continue to share and to broaden our reach. We want to help those people who are up late, needing something to help them through a difficult time, something, anything that is constructive, that helps them feel less alone and part of a community, even if it's a virtual community. So the name change is such that it really tells listeners not just who we are, but also what we're about and what we also hope to achieve.
So with that, I will introduce Healing Medicine, which is our new name. And it will officially be Healing Medicine, Mindfulness, Mindset, and Physician Well-Being. And we love it because healing medicine has a bit of a double meaning. So we're here to help heal the culture of medicine, how we train, how we lead in medicine, how we practice in medicine, and how those of us who practice medicine live.
And ultimately, we hope that even already before today's episode, that prior episodes also have helped you to show up in your own imperfectly for perfect, authentic self. We also offer different types of medicine that heal, like mindfulness, coaching, nature, mindset work, relationship wisdom, and meaningful community. And we hope that these offerings will allow you to show up as the highest potential of your authentic self, as imperfectly as we all are as human beings in community. So, with that, our former name, the Mindful Healers Podcast, will always hold a special place in our hearts. Just because we are changing the name of the podcast does not mean that we are not becoming mindful healers. We're simply attaching the title of the content of this podcast to a different set of words.
And would you share a little bit about the Mindful Healthcare Collective and how it became the Mindful Healers podcast? Because many of our listeners are new and don't even know about sort of the origin story in brief.
The Mindful Healthcare Collective started at the beginning of the pandemic, so back in early 2020. We, Jessie and I, had met in Bora Bora just a couple weeks before the Mindful Healthcare Collective even started. And we both had been in physician well-being for decades, knowing that the pandemic was only going to create more risk for burnout and chaos. I put together a group, very grassroots group of people who I had known had done extra work and had extra expertise, not only in clinical medicine, but also in physician well-being, different modalities, such as coaching, such as mindfulness, such as emotional freedom technique, otherwise known as tapping. And we put together quite a lot of free offerings. At one point during the height of the pandemic, we were offering 2 to 3 different free well-being events for healthcare professionals a week. And now the Mindful Healthcare Collective continues to hold space for healers in a way that's much more attuned to mindfulness, but also with physician well-being in general. And there aren't as many offerings except for your ongoing contributions, Jessie, with your weekly free yoga programming. And so, as with everything, as we just recorded the Nature Earth Day episode, everything has ebbs and flows and different seasons. And the Mindful Healthcare Collective, back when it was much more active, I had wanted to put together a podcast, and the timing was right. And we ended up collaborating and continued to collaborate on this podcast. And here we are, like now 5 years later, basically.
And I think this podcast is really the essence of the Mindful Healthcare Collective when it began, sharing mindfulness and helping healers heal and move through medicine during challenging times, which we find ourselves in once again. And so our new name, Healing Medicine, is really intended to tell people clearly, lovingly, and unapologetically what we're about. So we're inviting people in to heal the culture of medicine, heal themselves, and partake of and enjoy medicine that heals. We don't give medical advice, but we offer many other forms of healing that are outside the box and in the mindfulness and mindset and physician well-being, wellness, sustainability realm. And so our rebrand is ultimately about visibility and being searchable on purpose, but it's also about alignment and reaching the physicians who need us most. And so the tagline for our podcast is going to be helping physicians reclaim balance, purpose, and a love for medicine, one mindful step at a time. And we love how this healing medicine approach echoes so many of the themes that emerge in the journey of this podcast. Medicine that heals and healing medicine from the inside out.
And reclaiming medicine. So feeling empowered and giving you tools such that you can continue to practice medicine the way that you envisioned it, restoring meaning to practicing the sacred art of medicine, a wholeness as a healer, bringing wholeness into your healing modalities such that your patients can also reclaim their wholeness. And also honoring all of the imperfections that unite us in common humanity as one way amongst many to heal.
And I would offer adding in different ways of practicing medicine, whether it be embracing integrative medicine or whether it be embracing mindfulness or lifestyle medicine, and helping people figure out how to practice healing in a way that's in alignment for them. So some people who listen to this podcast have stepped out of, we have this definition of clinical and non-clinical medicine, but they've stepped out of whatever form of medicine they were practicing. But I like to point out that anyone who's ever been in medicine is a healer, and you are always someone who is a physician, if that's your role or whatever your role was, and that you carry that with you. And so reclaiming medicine can look like something different for everyone, and we honor that here. We also share healing practices and a nod to both medical healing practices and mindfulness practices and mindset practices, and talking a bit about the intersection of presence and professionalism, as well as life outside of medicine. And we espouse not so much work-life balance, but work-life integration. And interestingly, one of the reasons that this word balance is in our tagline, and balance is a word that neither of us love, is because it is very intentional that many, many people search for balance and they're looking for balance. And we believe they don't know what they're looking for when they're looking for balance. They're really looking for integration and a way to have a happy, healthy life as someone who is a healer. And so we've actually put that in there to hopefully help those people. The last thing that this podcast is also really about is unlearning. And I would say unlearning to heal medicine and to heal yourself. And I give many talks about the school of unlearning and the idea of coaching as unlearning habits that we were taught in our medical training and that are very predominant in medical training, and that we can let go of some of the practices and thought patterns that are not healthy and begin to unlearn so that we can heal ourselves and heal our patients and heal our loved ones and heal the world in a healthier, more strategic and intentional way.
So what's staying the same? A lot staying the same, actually. Our voices. We will not be changing any aspect of our voices. We will show up as Demi Moore and my usual voice in all of its iterations between potential respiratory infections or healthy patent nasal passages. Our logo is also staying the same. I love, love, love our logo. And the good news is that we're officially trademarking it thanks to Jessie's husband and attorney and podcast guest, Mark. Shout out there for him. And then also ultimately our commitment to you to basically continue having mindful, meaningful, and nourishing conversations, not just with each other, but with other experts that we will be bringing on as guests as well. So ultimately, this is not a departure from anything. It's really a deepening into who and what we are and are becoming. It's a way that we're choosing to emphasize and to highlight and to broaden our reach to try to increase visibility.
And ultimately, this rebrand is about intention, which is one of the attitudes of mindfulness and something I share in yoga and in coaching all the time. And our primary intention with this podcast, while we enjoy hanging out together and we enjoy doing it, is really to offer it to you and to people like you. And so our ask today, as you might remember in the beginning, it was an appreciation, acknowledgement, and an ask is to all of you who are loyal listeners, would you please share the podcast, leave us a review, tell some friends, send your favorite episode or episodes to someone. Very often when you send them a very specific episode that you think would resonate with them, it's a much more helpful referral. This is how we keep the ripple effect of this work going. And if one more physician gets to feel more peaceful instead of panicked, then we've done something awesome.
To our new listeners, maybe you have come upon this podcast because our tagline and our new title happened to be in your search terms, which is the whole point of the rebrand. So if this is your first episode, welcome. You have found a podcast that does not pretend. Jessie and I show up in all of our imperfection, authentically, just as we are in this moment for you. This podcast honors your full humanity, just as Jessie and I honor ours. We give you permission to be a physician that still and continues to feel the entire spectrum of human emotions and experience the entire spectrum of human experience. We are still here. We also encourage physicians and will continue to remind physicians to rest and to love.
So what will you hear going forward from us? Much of the same, I would add.
So mindfulness is going to be intertwined into every episode, as always, along with the mindset tools, oftentimes from coaching, that you can use during, immediately, and after the podcast is over.
Honest conversations about self-worth, alignment, money, and challenges, and how you might approach them, which might be walking away, leaning in, leaning out, or staying where you are and thinking about them differently. Leadership and life design with love at the center. You will continue to hear what would love do, whether it is about medicine or parenting or partnering. We will offer suggestions and podcasts and thoughts on parenting and partnering and leadership and life while healing and holding space.
And we will always interweave some reminders to give you permission to change, just like in nature. We are dynamic beings.
So, sharing what we have learned through the rebrand process, which has taken some patience and stepping out of our urgency bias and taking the time to think and decide and sit with and get comfortable with newness. And this rebrand taught us something, particularly me, but something powerful, which is that you don't need to be perfect. And our podcast title didn't need to be our absolute favorite. We actually love the Mindful Healers podcast and we feel very attached to it. And so the idea was, could we come up with something that we loved as much? And while I actually have now come to love healing medicine with its dual meanings quite a lot, that it's more important to be clear and aligned and findable and to lean into the most important thing.
We've highlighted before in prior podcasts that words matter. And we are basically taking advantage of the fact that words matter in search engine optimization.
I love it.
So we're literally, this rebrand includes words that are not just in alignment for us, but will enable the search engine optimization to work for us in our favor also to help broaden the reach and hopefully help more people. And actually, with regards to the choosing of these words, we sat with healing medicine for a couple weeks. Like, this was not just like something that we decided yesterday.
Might be almost 2 months since we first started talking about this.
Yes, so there was definitely a lot of intentionality, a lot of sitting with it, trying it on. And also, I think what we did well with this, Jessie, also is that we sat with the discomfort of the change.
Yeah.
Right. Like, there was definitely some discomfort in the beginning, at least for me in this.
Yeah.
But it has definitely become a good learning experience. And I love the double entendre of healing medicine, and uh, we are still mindful healers through and through.
And we will be healing medicine, formerly known as the Mindful Healers podcast, for a while, so that people who knew about us from before will still be able to find us. But what I love about this is that we're not resisting the reality of SEO. We're not resisting the reality of AI and ChatGPT and all the things, like, they're out there. We are responding to it with love. Love would actually change the name so that more people can find us. And love would pay attention to the fact that many people, when I told them the name of the podcast, would say, well, what's that about? What's the Mindful Healers podcast about? And so love would lean into change, even if it's uncomfortable, because people can't connect with what they can't find. And that we teach people what to think about us through our words and our presence and our clarity. And so today's podcast is about that, and the rebrand is about that. And it's uncomfortable. I will just be totally vulnerable and say that I'm still nervous about putting out this podcast, because then we have to change. And what if people can't find us? And what if people don't like it? And that's just our old patterning, because I will offer, what if they love it? What if it's amazing? And who knows what it's going to be? But we will be here recording either way. And we really do hope you'll help us share it so that it turns out to be amazing. One of the things I teach in decision making is to lean into your decision. And so having this podcast be a ask and a request, a strongly worded, urgent request for your help in sharing the podcast and growing its visibility, especially as we change its name, is very intentional.
Ultimately, healing medicine starts with healing ourselves. Jessie and I have been on this journey for quite some time, and it will be a lifelong journey, I know, for me, but it really helps to spread it, and it helps others when we spread it. Ultimately, it helps when we share the things that helped us. And we hope that this podcast has been something that has helped you. So if we have helped you during a tough time, lit a little spark, inspired you in some way, or just brought upon a little reminder or many invitations, because with 250 episodes, there have been 250 mindfulness practices that have been included in each episode, or if it has brought you closer to home in who you really are, please, please, please share it. This is how we will grow. This is how we will heal. This is how we will heal medicine, by offering some healing medicine ourselves. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to stay on after the sound of the singing bowl for our mindful moment offering to practice.
Please check the show notes for additional resources and insights, and please explore our other episodes.
If our message resonates, we'd love to connect further. Please share this podcast with colleagues, friends, and family members. And remember, when you work with us, you don't just consume information, you create real change.
We offer coaching, mindfulness experiences, workshops, retreats, and talks. Visit healingmedicinepodcast.com to learn more.
Please note the content of this podcast is not medical or life advice. Always participate in our mindful moments safely.
Welcome to today's mindful moment. Taking a moment to adjust to something new, taking a risk, leaning into change and growth without certainty, and simply wondering what might happen when you make a change, when you embark on something that you think might be amazing, but who knows? Taking a moment to take in a big deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And another big breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I invite you to close your eyes if it feels safe, and bring one hand to heart and the other hand to top, sending yourself some kindness. Press the heel of your hand into the heart space, releasing oxytocin, letting it feel amazing, enjoying it, and potentially acknowledging what it feels like to step into something new, to step into change. Potentially deciding to do something that makes you feel more visible or nervous or feels like a stretch. Stepping out of the known and the comfortable into the unknown and the possible. Noticing as I say that, if you feel any tension in your throat, taking in a big deep breath and an out breath. Just let it feel good. Enjoying for a moment what you notice. Noticing hand on heart, letting it feel good and lovely and healing and nourishing. Letting yourself enjoy it. Enjoying the breaths in and out. Sending yourself kindness and compassion for any thoughts. Enjoying this space and a moment of quiet. Breathe in and out. Just notice how you feel now. Taking 3 more luxurious deep breaths. When you feel complete, lowering hands and opening eyes and taking a moment to recalibrate. Thank you all so much for practicing with me today. May you all be well.